Hello everyone, I am Jadeley Templado and I will be reading my answers for the assignment in business cycle and balance of payment. So for the first question, illustrate and explain thoroughly the business cycle. So the business cycle is a recurring pattern of economic growth and contraction that occurs in virtually every economy. So it represents the fluctuations in economic activity, including periods of expansion and contraction. So the business cycle is typically depicted including periods of expansion as a wave-like pattern, and it can be divided into four main phases, which is the expansion, peak, contraction, and trough. So let's illustrate and explain each phase of the business cycle. So here is the business cycle. As you can see, there is the peak here. Here the peak. Here is the recession. Here is the depression, the recovery, and the expansion. So it is a wave-like form. So in expansion, during the expansion phase, the economy is on an upswing. So economic indicators such as GDP, employment, and consumer spending are on the rise. So businesses are expanding investments in new projects and hiring more workers. So consumers' confidence is high, leading to increased spending. So interest rates are typically low to encourage borrowing and investing. So in peak, the peak represents the highest point of the business cycle. So economic activity is strong and the economy is operating near full capacity. Employment is at its peak. All wages may rise as a result of labor shortages. Inflation may start to creep up as demand outspaces supply, and central banks may raise interest rates to cool down the economy and control inflation. In the contraction phase, a characterized is characterized as a slowdown in the economic activity. So key indicators such as GDP and employment starts to decline. So businesses may cut back on investments, leading to job losses and reduced consumer spending. So confidence in the economy may decline, causing people to save more and spend less. So central banks may lower interest rates to stimulate economic activity. So in the truth, marks the lowest point of the business cycle. Economic activity was bottomed out, and key indicators have hit their lowest level. So unemployment is high, and many businesses may be struggling or closing down. Interest rates may be at their lowest to encourage borrowing and investment, and consumer and businesses confidence may begin to recover. So, in the question number 2, give specific example situations in each cycle stage. So, in expansion, in an economic expansion, the construction company experiences increased demand for its services. They hire more construction workers, purchase additional equipment, and bid on new projects due to the strong construction market. So peak. Example of this is at the peak of the economic cycle, the stock market experiences a surge where shares of certain tech companies trading at extremely high valuations. So investors speculating on continued growth, pour money into these stocks. So during a contraction, a restaurant chain experienced a sharp drop in sales. So to offset the losses, they reduce staff hours and may close some locations temporarily. And consumers concerned about their financial situation cut back on dining out. So in the last one, in true, a government may embark on a large-scale infrastructure project to create jobs and stimulate economic activity. So the job market remains challenging, but these efforts aim to pave the way for for eventual recovery. So, in the third question, what is balance of payment? And explain your understanding in your own words. So, the balance payment records all economic transactions a country has with the rest of the world over a certain period. So, it has three main components, which are the current account, capital account, and the financial account. So the existing account tracks imports and exports of goods and services, income flows, and transfers. The capital account tracks the flows of capital, including non-financial assets and capital transfers. The financial report tracks the financial assets and liabilities, such as foreign investments and loans. So the balance of payments helps assess a country's international financial position and relationship with other nations. So it's essential to monitor it to maintain economic stability and inform policy decisions. And the last one, give sample problems or situation, including its complete computation and solution. So suppose we have a fictitious country called Ecoland. For example, Ecoland. So the following data represents the relevant transaction of Ecoland during the specific year. So the current account. Exports of goods and services is 300 billion. Imports of goods and services is 250 billion. The net income from abroad is 40 billion. And unilateral transfers is 10 billion. So the capital transfers is 5 billion. Sales of patents and trademarks is 2 billion. And the financial account is for the foreign direct investment inflow is 20 billion. Portfolio investment inflow is 15 billion. Change in official reserves is negative 5 billion. Other investment is negative 10 billion. Now, let's compute the component of Ecoland's BOP. So current account, calculate the trade balance. So exports minus imports. So trade balance is equals to 300 billion minus 250 billion. So we have 50 billion, or we have a surplus of 50 billion. So calculating the current account balance, we have the formula trade balance plus income balance plus transfer balance. So we have 50 plus 40 plus 10 billion. So we have 100 billion, a surplus of 100 billion. And in capital account, calculating the capital account balance, we have the formula of capital transfers plus sales of patents and trademarks. So we have 5 billion plus 2 billion, which equals to 7 billion, a surplus of 7 billion. In financial account, in calculating this one is, we have the FDI plus portfolio investment plus change in official reserves plus other investment. So we have 20 plus 50 plus 10 plus 10. So we have 20 billion, total of 20 billion surplus. And for the overall balance of payments, in calculating this one, we have the current account balance plus capital account balance and plus financial account balance, we have 100 billion for the current account, 7 billion for the capital account, and 20 billion for the financial account. So we have 127 billion surplus. So in this example, Ecoland has a overall balance of payments surplus of $127 billion, and this means that it has received more funds from the rest of the world than it has sent out, indicating a net inflow of funds. So it's important to note that the BOP should always balance, which means that the surpluses and deficits in the current capital and financial accounts should add up to zero. So in case they do, we have the 100 billion plus 100 billion current account plus 7 billion capital account plus 20 billion financial account is equals to 127 billion dollars, the surplus, minus the 100 billion surplus equals to $0. So that would be all for my answers and assignment in business cycle and balance of payment. So thank you for watching, and once again, I am Jadeley Maurice B. Templado.